Hey everyone, Nick McCarville here, Tennis Chatter, coming to you live from Helena, Montana in my parents' house. So, taking a couple months off after school, but there has been no taking off from tennis, and pretty disappointed that yesterday I had chosen to drive from Seattle to Helena because it was quite the day of tennis. Just want to briefly talk about the fourth round and what an exciting day of tennis it was, mostly on the men's side, some good women's matches, and then we'll talk a little bit about today's matches that happened, both Williams sisters getting through, and then we'll talk about tomorrow, Wednesday, men's quarterfinals, which should be a great matchup. But really, looking at yesterday, of course, the Murray and Gasquet match, which we'll talk about in just a second, but Fernando Verdasco and Mario Ancic, Ancic winning the match 13-11 in the fifth, and then Feliciano Lopez beating everyone's favorite man, Marcos Baghdatis, 8-6 in the fifth. So really the match of the tournament, and maybe so far one of the matches of the year, was Andy Murray's comeback against Richard Gasquet. And, remember last year Gasquet's big comeback against Andy Roddick, and what a huge letdown it was for Roddick. But this was such a great moment, and I've only watched some YouTube clips and I've read a couple articles, and as they were talking about it on the TV today, it was just a monumental match in so many ways. I think the British fans have been waiting now for about 3 or 4 years, since we've kind of seen the downslide of Tim Henman, and then we've slowly watched Andy Murray kind of start to build up that sort of excitement, and it really all came to a pinnacle yesterday against Gasquet. And I'm sure that most Brits will say, no, the pinnacle is when Murray wins this tournament, but I think it kind of announces arrival, and to come back to hit some of those incredible shots we've been seeing over and over again on highlight reels really shows that Andy Murray not only has the tennis, but I think the maturity. And he missed last year because of injury, and he's had some ups and downs. He's had lots of off-court controversy, including family problems and injuries, but he plays Rafael Nadal in the quarterfinals. That's happening tomorrow, and if you look at their head-to-head, Nadal leads it 3-0. They played just this year on clay, obviously advantage huge to Nadal, but if you guys can dig in your Grand Slam sort of history, they had a great match last year, 2007. It was a 5-setter. Andy Murray led 2-1 at the Australian Open. That was in the fourth round. Nadal ended up winning that match 6-1 in the fifth, and it was really kind of just watching Andy Murray kind of run out of gas, which I think will be an issue tomorrow. I think that Andy Murray, put out a lot of energy, both physically and emotionally, against Nadal yesterday, against Gasquet yesterday, and now he's got to put out all this energy again against Rafael Nadal, who has some of the most energy you've ever seen from a tennis player on the court. So if it goes deep into 5, it's tough to say that Murray can keep with Nadal, but really with the crowd behind him, if Andy Murray can get the confidence and hit with Nadal early on, this could be a great 4-set win for Murray. And who knows, maybe Nadal and Federer are kind of in their own league right now, but Andy Murray is one player that he's beaten Federer before, and he's certainly showed versatility to play against all types of players. So big matchups, Federer-Ancic, Safin and Lopez, that's on the top half. I'm going to go with Federer and Safin there, and then Rainer Schüttler and Arnaud Clément. Schüttler taking out Tipsarevic in the fourth round. So, really looking for Murray, Nadal, Federer, and Safin. Those are kind of the 4 players you kind of look through to come through all of this. And obviously Nadal and Murray, it's kind of disappointing they have to meet in the quarterfinals, but that's just kind of how the draws go sometimes. Talking a little bit about the women's quarterfinals, it was my first chance to watch some live tennis on TV today, watching Venus Williams and Temerine Tennis-Sugarn, and it was a mediocre match. It was entertaining at times, it was ugly at times. Tennis-Sugarn, they showed clips of her press conference after her win over Yankovic, which was very impressive. She hit 6 unforced errors the entire match, and you could tell that she was just happy with that win, and that she didn't really give herself any sort of a chance against Venus Williams. She was 0-6 coming into the match, and She had Venus, she had her at 5-4 break point down, but I think she was 2 for 10 break point conversion, so that really told the story of the match. But good fight from the Thai player, her first ever Grand Slam quarterfinal at the age of 31, and Venus Williams is into Wimbledon semifinals, and Venus has not played very good tennis. She hasn't played a player inside the top 50 yet in this tournament, so she'll get Elena Dementieva, and if Dementieva can serve well, I think that it'll be quite the match. Once again, Dementieva showing that she is just one of the most mentally unsound players on tour. 6-1, 5-1 against Petrova today. She finally pulls it out. 6-3 in the third set. Petrova came all the way back, winning 6 of the final. 7 games in that match, and Dementieva is a player. You watched her maybe at the 2004 U.S. Open was when the last time I remember her really being on a big stage, and she played Capriati and she played flawless in the third set, and it's just, she's one of those players when she's on, and if the serve works, if she doesn't have the yips and the double faults and the strawberry shortcake sort of serves, then she really has a dangerous serve. She has a huge forehand, and she's so fast, and I don't think people really give her enough credit for that. So if Venus is having a down day and Dementieva's on, then that could be a close match, maybe 3 sets. And then looking at Ji Zhang coming through against Vadisova, 6-1 in the third, and Vadisova is just real disappointing. Had a tough year, comes here, she loves grass, and just couldn't really recapture any sort of the momentum. She had a couple good wins, but another sort of disappointing tournament. Hopefully she'll take a little bit of the positives out of this. And then finally Serena threw 4-0 against Radwanska, and she'll take on the Chinese player making history, the first ever Chinese player. Singles semifinal right before the Olympics, so big news there. I think everyone hopes for a Williams sister final. It's really been building to that since Sharapova and Ivanovic fell early, so that's what we'll expect on the women's side. But it's men quarterfinal day, Wednesday, July 2nd, and look forward to all 4 of those matches being pretty good contests, but especially the Murray-Nadal match. Working on some stuff for you guys over the next couple weeks, so stay tuned. And obviously we've got some exciting 5 days of tennis with Wimbledon, the biggest tournament on this planet during the year. So stay tuned on tennischatter.blogspot.com, and I'll be bringing you all sorts of little tidbits from Montana. You guys have a good night.